Thank you very much. If you could all come to Dubai next time, save us both the trip. Weather's beautiful. You'll enjoy it. All you'll learn from this slide is that I'm old, confused, and like cats. Any questions? Okay, so as I said, 25 years experience in banking, software engineer by trade, worked in a lot of banks around the world, lived in 14 countries, worked as a consultant, serial founder, that's an interesting one, founded 5 businesses, 2 successors, 1 ongoing, 2 absolute abysmal failures. That's where the fun learning comes from. Been very fortunate to work at C-level in a couple of really nice unicorn centaurs, taking them from pre-10 million revenue, post 100, 120, 130 million. I'm an advisor to founders, investors, boards around the world, and I am the founder and CEO of Cubed. So Cubed is very much what it says at the bottom. We help fintech founders, CEOs, investors scale. We get scalable, predictable growth. 2 years ago, that would have said hypergrowth. It now says scalable, predictable. Things have changed. What everybody really wants is scalable, predictable hypergrowth. We do that by being operating partners. We embed ourselves in companies. We go and hop. We're not consultants. We hate the word consultants. Oh, by the way, please send really awkward questions that make me squirm so we can do those at the end. We're also investors. We have a seed fund. We invest from seed through Series A. And we're connectors. The entire team's got over 20 years each experience in the markets, multiple countries, multiple subsectors of fintech. So we really get very involved in opening our network to anybody that we work with. So why are we here? Why do fintechs fail? So 90% of startups fail in 3 years. This one's pretty well known, and actually, that's the one I have the least problem with. Because a lot of companies should fail even earlier. You can have a bad product, bad leadership team, bad product market fit, really massive egos can come at the early stage. They should just fail early, pivot, whatever you need to do to move on. 2% of scale-ups making it to Series D is a bit of a problem, and it's actually very easy to fix. So I've taken now 3 companies from pre-B through to F onwards, and you can see that actually what happens is as long as you put everything in place from Series A, B, everybody else complains and says, we're not a corporate, we don't need to do all the big work, forget the operations, but the earlier you do it, the more chance you have of success at that later stage. And the one that, I won't choose my words because I work for myself and nobody can find me, the one that really pisses me off is that third one. And that's where 75% of venture investments fail. How can this be normal? And that's what kept me awake at night, and that's why I founded Cubed. Because you think about this, the 90% can fail because bad idea, friends and family get involved, people can invest early. This is basically saying that 3/4 of companies where proper investors have seen a product, a team, and a market that can drive success fail. Now, there's a lot of reasons this is okay, because actually the game is set so that if those 25% that succeed are huge hypergrowth companies, the money gets paid back. But it's still breaking the hopes and dreams of entrepreneurs and founders. It's also meaning that 75% of LP money is wasted. But the thing that really bothers me, and having worked in this industry for over 25 years, it means that innovation is running at the quarter of where it could be. Imagine if we had 4 times the innovation driving through the future of fintech, the future of financial services. It would be a hugely different market that we would play in. And that's why we came along with Cubed and where we want to help and make sure that we can take all the experience of building unicorns, take the experience of driving different businesses, take our own failures, and build to turn that 75% failure into a 75% success rate. This is coming to London, living in Dubai. You can't actually breathe after this weather for a couple of days when you're out of practice. So, a couple of things I want to talk through, right? First of all, back to the cats. You'll see we're obsessed by cats at Cubed. These are the table stakes for me. These are the hygiene factors. If you don't have all of these things, I'm not even going to waste a lot of time on this slide. If you don't have these things, you are not going to be able to drive your business forward. Talked about operational efficiencies. The operating model, building those efficiencies in when you're a seed or Series A company is vital. Making sure you understand how you're going to operate. It's not just we need to be agile, we need to drive. I understand that. But you can be agile and do things in a very operational, realistic way. The product. Okay, not having a product market fit is an obvious thing. Fake pseudo product market fits are something we see all the time. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So founder-led sales, going to friends and family, pulling in a couple of customers, sign contracts. Those customers churn within 2 years, but by that point, nobody cares because they've already done the next funding round. That is a huge, huge problem of why we have failures in the market. Finance performance management. When I worked at a large bank that will remain nameless, I ran innovation labs around the world. And we didn't have the term FinTech, but basically I was a FinTech assassin. We would have very smart kids come in and we'd try and turn them into bankers. Fails miserably, surprise, surprise. We would have people come in and we would let them run in our innovation labs and we would really just pull them into our bank. We wouldn't let them go anywhere else. We would kill innovation. Again, we would kill that business because we would not let them go and innovate anything that wasn't just for us. And then the third and final one, my personal favorite, we would ask somebody to come and do as a free POC for 12 months, and then we'd see if we liked them. And they'd always say yes because we had a big shiny logo. That absolutely kills it. And the modern day version of that sometimes is the CFO finance department in a FinTech. They are the innovation assassins. If you have a good CFO, so I think actually if there's any founders in this room, get yourself a good CFO who is open to innovation, understands the market and understands demand, and get yourself the most senior HR person who can really understand how you build this business and get great people. It's amazing from the HR perspective how many times they are not involved in the board meetings. It's amazing how many times they are not seen as the same level as the rest of the C-level. And honestly, you get those two right, forget your CRO, forget your CPO, forget your CTO. That happens by default. Get those two right, you change the game significantly. Partnerships. You need to build an ecosystem. What most people build is an ego system. People always build ego over eco. Absolute bullshit, and we'll kill you in a second. You can put 20,000 logos on your website, on your literature, and say, hey, we work with XYZ. Guess what? Everybody else works with them. Choose the right ones. Choose the ones that add value. Choose where you can have aligned value and an aligned strategy to grow your business along with them. Pricing. Nobody gets pricing right. You have to price on value, don't price on cost. And there's two things to bear in mind. One, look at the end customer value, but also, as it says up here, protect the unit economics. We see so many companies who go, yeah, no, we deliver great customer value. And we go, okay, but how are you going to make money? It's like, well, they've told us they're going to hit 100,000, 100 million, whatever it may be, transactions. And at that point, we make X amount of money. Okay, when are they going to do this? Well, they tell us next year. It never happens. Make sure those unit economics are protected from day one, but make sure you're still delivering value that aligns. If you can't deliver value from day one with aligned unit economics, your pricing model is wrong, your infrastructure is wrong, your architecture is wrong, something isn't working. People and culture. This is fascinating. I come back to saying that the HR person is really important. They hire the people for you, they enable the people for you, they retain the good ones, they remove the bad ones. People always come, I love this, there's always a slide in a lot of presentations that go to VCs that says, this is our culture, this is what we believe in. Worth nothing. You have values, I understand, that's great, everybody should have good values. But it says there, culture is through action, not through PowerPoint. And it's always interesting to try and find out what actions people take to develop their culture rather than just talk about it. Focus, be damn good at one thing. Just be great at something. Coming back to that ecosystem over ego system. Be good at something and work with other people who are great at other stuff. Don't try and be everything to everybody. Once you've got that flywheel working and everything's going to 100% and you're beating all your targets and you're the market leader, pick your second play. It's the right way of doing it, but nobody ever follows it that simply. Market and competition. You need a good market. But don't give a shit about the competition. So many people end up focusing and do competitive analysis. You need it. It's important. But have something you are so good at. And I've done this. I've been in meetings with very big banks, and I've found out what they want. And I've said, do you know what? You should go to our main competitor. You have a better cultural fit. They have a better product fit. And it's going to work better for you. I could reduce my prices. I could go and miss-sell. But it's wrong for them, and it's wrong for me. And what happens when you start to grow a little bit, you will then have to tell to them customers, we can't work with you anymore. The unit economics don't work. The solution isn't right. You are bastardizing my product roadmap to a point where I don't want to drive anything and I can't go and sell to anybody else. If you could just not sell to those customers, and we do it. My co-founder's sitting over there. We actually did it this week. We sat down with somebody and said, do you know what? We can't work with you. We don't want to work with you because we don't think we have aligned values. We don't think we have aligned value. And that takes a lot to do when you're a startup because you're always going to chase the money. But you need to do that sooner rather than later. Customers. Go to the customers, demonstrate value, keep them happy, right? All of these things don't need me to tell you anything about it. These are the basics. Everybody should have this nailed from day one. But there are some other things, I think, which is what I'm going to spend most of my time on, which is that it's predictable and avoidable. And let me talk you through a bit of a process. Talk amongst yourselves 1 second. So, failure is predictable and avoidable. We've already agreed 75% of venture-funded companies fail. And we could all agree, if we're rational, that that is not acceptable. Several things drive this, but one I think is most important, and I'm going to go into details on points 2 and 3. There is a constant funding and growth cycle that takes place. And it's really interesting when you look at why it's broke. You can almost forgive entrepreneurs and founders for not understanding this as an expert. But I can tell you from experience, you have exactly the same problems on the investor side as well. There is some real naivety. There's some real misalignment and misjudgment of how this thing should work. The cycle repeats at every stage of growth. It's the same, but it's different. It's never been truer that what got you to where you are is not what you need to get you to where you need to be. And again, I'll come into that in more detail. I'll also share with you when we get into the Q&A, I'll just leave it behind me so you can all take photos. The metrics that are there for hypergrowth, this 12 we use, they are in every single unicorn and hypergrowth company we see. And it's interesting because you put it up the first time and people go, holy shit, we can't hit half of those. But you focus on them and you will see proof points very quickly come out the back because it's a non-negotiable fact that these 12 metrics are the best leading indicators we've found in the market. The bits I won't share with you because it's secret sauce and you'll have to give me a check to go through it. But once you've got those metrics, they can be used to highlight failings. They're all leading metrics that you can, people argue they're revenue metrics, finance metrics, business growth metrics. You can use them to see where the problems are in the back end. You can see problems with your product, with your technology, with your HR, with everything, if you utilize these data correctly. And so we took all that, we built a data model. That data model allows us to predict failures in FinTechs just based on those 12 metrics as leading indicators. And it allows us to give actionable insights into how those things can be changed, how they grow, and where you can actually see very, very quickly to preempt where you're going to have failure points in the business. And once you've got that, you win. The problem is nobody is winning. So that 75% failure rate means that 1 in 4 is winning. And I'll be honest with you, about half of that 25% is luck. People underestimate sometimes. I say we work and we say, hey, we help FinTechs to grow, we stop FinTechs failing. You still need luck. This is not a completely black and white process. You need to be right place, right time, pivot quickly, get over the ego, but drive through these basics. So I'm going to go through, as I said, points 2, point 3, and point 4. So a constant funding cycle that is broken. If you look at the way that people grow, you go through a raise cycle, a growth cycle, a raise cycle, a growth cycle. In the raise side of things, it's split into a step up and reset. The step up is what most people completely miss. And I'll go into more details. The raise execution is what everybody thinks is easy, they can do, you can drive it through, you get a check, you invest, you spend it, you get a check, you invest, you spend it. Then you come through to the growth cycle. Once you've got the money, what do you need to do to move your business to that next stage? And then you move into the execution. Again, the bit everybody thinks they can do. But there's some really interesting dynamics in there that generally don't work. Now, the white circle is the entrepreneur, the blue circle is the investor. Let me very quickly talk you through from our little checkered flag cat at the top. So a strategic and operational audit. This whole circle where it breaks is mindset. If you are the founder, if you're the CEO, you need to pull yourself into that next stage. So whatever you're doing at Series A, from an execution point of view, the second you get ready for your next funding round, you need to think, where are you going to be in 24 months? How will you act? How will you operate? Who are the people? What is the product? What are the territories? And the reason you need to do that is because funding raise will take 6 months, and then you've got an 18-month cycle before you're back into funding again. Okay, it changes, moves around, but just rough numbers. To take that strategic audit, to be the founder, the CEO, and step back from the operational business to think about what's going to happen next is very, very rare, because you basically have to delegate your entire operations to your team and give yourself the mind space to move on to that next stage. Everybody always says, I can't do it, I can't leave it. Do you know what? If you can't do it, your team is not strong enough to build what you had at your previous level and run it, so why do you think they're going to be capable of running it at the next level? If you can't pull yourself out of the business to be strategic, you have a massive problem. Preparing for the investment round, everybody says, okay, we can do that. We're just going to drive a PowerPoint. We're going to build a financial model. We can use experts to do that. You can, but don't delegate it out. Be part of it. Too many people, you got two types. Completely crap presentations that have been thrown together because it's just, well, hey, we need money, we're just going to throw this in. Or very professional presentations that have no real alignment or the voice of the person doing it. It's almost like outsourcing your thought leadership documents. You know, we all get approached to do all this. Hey, I can post for you on LinkedIn every day for the next 6 months, right? It's bullshit. Because they'll post something that's interesting, it may align to what you're trying to do, but it's not your voice. It's not credible. And people know it's not credible because you don't have time to do that. It's the same thing by completely outsourcing all of this presentation preparation material and then just reading it off. You're not a newsreader. You're a business owner, a founder. So once you've got that, you move into this investment piece. Like the investment pitch from a founder point of view, as long as you've got a bit of coaching, you can present, you're good. Closing the round is, I think, one of the biggest mistakes that founders make. Because here's what generally happens. We've got a great story, we've got it out there, we've got investors excited, then everybody will keep putting up the value, your multiplier will go up, you'll have more conversations, you will chase the biggest valuation or the biggest logo because you think it's cool, and we can say, Investor X invested in us, therefore we're good. Wrong and wrong. You have to take intelligent money. You have to take the money where they're going to be, and if I go fast forward to the inner blue circle, that bit there that says be value add, think, build, operate. Choose investors that are going to help you in your execution cycles think, build, or operate your business. If there is no value add and all they're giving you is a check, they're the wrong investors. That is something that's actually hard for a lot of people to do. And you find a lot of people justifying it. Well, yeah, okay, but they're giving us the biggest number, but actually they're the best investors as well. And make sure from this thing about the board reset, make sure when you choose an investor, and again, basic, but it doesn't happen all the time. Ask who will be your board member. Interview that person. Go for drinks with them. Go for dinner with them. Understand how you're going to operate and work together. Because this will be a partnership. And if you get this wrong, trust me, I've sat on both sides of this. I've sat in the boardroom. I've sat as an investor. I've also sat C-level in several unicorns and other businesses going through the scale-up piece. The disconnect you have when you get that wrong, and you can tell it, you can pull yourself up. You'll be preparing your board decks, and somebody will say, okay, well, we need to cover this. And they go, well, let's not tell them that, because that's not something they need to know. And if you don't have that complete transparency and alignment, you have the wrong boards. You have the wrong investors. Because they're not helping you think, build, operate. It kills me that how many times we see this. Pulling through here, you get the money in, what do you do next? So you've been lone wolf at the top here, going, right, I'm moving to the next stage, I got the mindset. This is what we're going to look like in 24 months. You've raised the money. At this point, you need a complete reset of your team. You need to communicate with them, this is what we're going to be in 24 months, think like this from today. You need to make sure you have the business plan, get the reset, but build the team for scale. Another thing everybody gets wrong, I've done it, you don't keep the people that are going to take you to that next level because they're your friends. You actually have to work out who are the right people to take you to that next level. Will they be an A player in 2 years? If the answer is no, then you won't have a hypergrowth company in 2 years. It's hugely important you do it. And then baseline metrics. And this is always another one that gets derailed. When you say to somebody, you've got the money, let's put the baseline metrics, let's make sure we've got baseline expectations with the investors, you'll be amazed. I think I did a calculation. It's about 70% of what they put at that time is not the same numbers they put in an investment pitch. There's numbers to get the money in, then there's numbers to manage the business and be measured against. Again, no transparency, wrong investors, wrong entrepreneur. You're not communicating, you're not keeping those things right, and this is a huge failure. You're going into a cycle where you've got complete misaligned expectations between your investor and your company. That leads to so much pain. Once you've gone through that baseline expectations, you come from the growth cycle into the growth execution. This is very iterative. This is going to be the majority of all your time you spend in your growth cycle. Again, pulling out measure, measure, measure. Measure, adjust, execute, then go into operational efficiencies. People generally go measure, adjust, execute, measure, adjust, execute. You have to look for efficiencies. Coming back to the previous one, the first point on why FinTechs fail is operational efficiency. If you don't build that in and have the right processes, and they will evolve, they should evolve. If you don't have that, you are setting yourselves up for failure. And I think the most important one on that inner circle is be value add. Think, build, operate. Very quickly, just coming back to some of the investment pieces, I've sat in, so we run due diligence for a few VCs on companies, Series A, Series B, Series C. You'll be amazed. I've got many VCs or investors in the room. One. Sorry. I'll try not to be too brutal. But the due diligence that happens in a lot of investors is not as good as you think it's going to be. There's a bit of a lemmings mentality. It's if investor X invested, we assume as investor Y, they've done the due diligence, they're great, and we can do a little bit of light because we want to jump on the round. They're leading the round, everything's going to be amazing. Doesn't happen. Due diligence happens a lot on the technology side of things, and they will look then very high-end, high-level at the GTM side of things. Have they got a good TAM? Have they got a good product, good people? Tick, tick, tick. Technology seems to scale. Good. Could be a good investment. Oh, guess what? Also, they're exactly the same as company B that 3 years ago went on hypergrowth. Therefore, we missed the barrel that time. Let's jump on this one. Honestly, I've sat in some of these conversations, and I'm not saying this is everywhere, but a huge majority of people who do the investments do not do the due diligence properly because they're not experienced at doing the operations side of it, which is why I always say that if you get that operational audit wrong, your due diligence is light, and you choose the wrong board members, you will never scale. Ever. It's impossible without the look that we spoke about earlier. And then very quickly, I've said this every single time this is a step up. You repeat this cycle. But it's not the same every single time. You have to move that mindset shift. And that mindset shift starts with this. You are the founder, you're also the funder. You have to actually take that as a different job. It's the same as when you come actually usually around Series B, a founder becomes a CEO. Okay, you may have that title from day one, but actually you always operate as a founder. You know everything that's happening in the business if you're good. You know everything that's working, you know all the customers, you know how it's driving. When you become a CEO, you know less. You have that trust. As we said before, that start of that cycle, you have the trust that your organization can execute in where you're at the moment, and you can then be given the time to become the funder of the business and the person that drives that next scale of growth. So we can do questions, but I'm just going to leave these stats up there so you can all steal them. I mentioned earlier around the 12 metrics that we use. That's how you predict success. You hit those 12 metrics, you will have a successful company. Doesn't matter what stage you're at. If you're a seed company, you can still hit those 12 metrics. If you're a Series F, you can still hit those 12 metrics. Go through the IPO, you can still hit those 12 metrics. We've got the proof points on the right, and this is where we see the difference between those who have those metrics and those don't. And I'm not going to walk through them because it's eco, not ego. right? And we need to make sure that you understand that we can achieve this success. If you do the top left one and get 80% forecast accuracy, and you have 80% of your quota carriers making 80% of their plan, you're going to be 50% of the way there. But you hit those, that's going to change the game. Any questions?
Do you have any questions from the audience? If we do, if you just put your hand up, we'll get a microphone across to you. Any questions? Come on, don't be shy. Thank you. Oh, no, it's for the virtual audience. We need the microphone, please. If you can just state your name and where you're from. Just keep your hand up, please, so Charlie can find you. Thank you.
It's like being on blind date. Contestant number 1.
It is.
You state your name and where you're from.
I'm Liam from London.
Hello, Liam from London.
You said about the CFO and the HR director being really key. Like, how do you ascertain them being the right kind of fit? Are there specifics that you look for? Yeah, how would you do that?
Yeah, 2 things. So for the CFO, are they innovative? Are they a balanced risk taker? Are they somebody that's going to come in there? Look, if you interview a CFO and they come in and go, we need to hit the rule of 40, we need to have EBITDA 0, we need to go drive all that, and they can't say to you, here's an example of where I helped to grow a business, and I was involved in the innovation side of this, and I can drive this to the next level. It's really sort of a mindset and a shift. HR is a more interesting one, because I think HR actually needs to be the CEO whisperer. And the reason why I think HR is really important, if you go in and you have CRO, CPO, even CFO, right? They've all got a reason they can be measured, and like, we don't have enough cash in the bank, CFO fired. We're not making enough sales, CRO fired. Our product isn't scalable, CTO fired, so blah, 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 right? The HR person is actually not that tangible, but they should have their finger in every single thing. And they should, when you interview them, actually raise a little bit of fear, and you go, whoa, this is going to be tough. They're going to give me a hard time. They're going to make things difficult for me. They need to be super ballsy, super smart for me.
Any more questions? Yes, at the back.
Ralph Grayson. I'm an angel investor in a lot of fintech companies, some of which have SPAC'd, so have been disasters, IPOs, exits, seen it all. What I've learned over many years of failure is the earlier a founder gets the right board around them and is cognizant of their own ego in the room and also the egos of other board members, and therefore the need to refresh that through the funding journey. How integral is that? How often do you find that part of the talent conversation the toughest conversation with the founder and the cause of success or failure?
Great question. All the time. I think the biggest... Look, if you ever ask a VC, so all investors, you say, what's the hardest thing you ever have to do in a company? It's fire the CEO, the founder. But it's sometimes the right thing to do. It's rare you find a founder that says the hard thing to do is to fire a board member or to move them out of the way or try and manipulate it out. 100% agree. If you don't have that right board in there to start with and you don't have the right advisors, your chance of winning, it comes down to a lot of luck. You can still hit these metrics, but actually hitting these metrics is pretty hard at that point. Because coming back to there, the think, build, operate, I put above any check size or anything else. If you've got the right people in there that can help you with it, it is a huge way to drive it. If they're not there, it kills the business. That's very true.
Time for one more? Yes, down at the front here.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say anything bad about investors.
Good afternoon. My name is Elena Rivers, company We Invest Global. So, first of all, Elliott, great, thank you. It's amazing presentation, and I've done actually a few pictures to send to my team. Your point about operations is just spot on, because we actually, we are not just VC, we support startups on the basis of from the ideation stage to the IPO. And operations, it's one of the biggest problems. How you sort out operations, whether you ever outsource anything for the operations? What is your position on it?
Yeah, look, I mean, so what we do with our data model and everything we built around Cubed, we've actually put into a platform that helps very early stage companies as well for that reason. you know, if you can tell people you need to put operational overheads in and everything else, they'll generally push back and say, we don't know how to do it, or they don't have the skill set, right? Especially in early stage, you know, you need proper revenue ops, marketing ops, and everything else. They don't have it. That's why we think, you know, putting it into a platform to show them where things are going to fail if they don't do it is key, and that for me is how you do it. You can outsource it. You can, I mean, we help people with that all the time, but to be honest, a very early stage company can't afford us. So that's why we built the platform out to drive that to the next level.
Okay, thank you everyone for your questions, and thank you to Elliott. Great session. Thank you.
Thank you.